Hello everyone, welcome to a World of Warship Blitz video, and today's video we have the Tier 7 British cruiser, the Fiji, which is probably fast becoming my most frequent video, and I've just been having some quiet days and probably been playing a few ships that I'm not particularly good at, so it's time just to go back and have some fun in the good old-fashioned Fiji, which I find to be probably the best destroyer hunter in the game, better than the Belfast, better than, well, the Nelson really isn't a destroyer hunter, it's more of a destroyer trap, but the Fiji is definitely the hunter. The destroyers don't come looking for me, I go looking for them, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're heading up into the A cap here, so I'm turning my guns towards the outside because no one is going to the B cap and I don't want to dig too deep into the A cap. And if I get in there, I can turn, I can use my concealment, I can use my smoke, my options are kept open, and I can turn towards the B cap and potentially try and take that as well, or at least contest it. Also, if there are destroyers coming in, I want open ocean in order to be able to deal with and dodge and have movement around their torpedoes rather than ramming into that island. Turning to the left is, turning to the right is another option, which is probably the better one if you're trying to get away, but it does drive you out of the cap. And we're detected, we haven't seen anything, definitely that's a destroyer, and bang on, there is the Mahan. So the Mahan is, well, he's digging into the cap pretty deep, so I put out my smoke, I slow my speed right down, and I try and land as many nasty shells on this guy as I can. We can see his torpedo spreads. He's shot him early, so basically that's a good old-fashioned panic fire, widespread in my path of travel, but unfortunately I'm a dedicated destroyer hunter, and I know my path of travel isn't really the best place to be. This is a much nicer target, the Udachi. This has really nasty torpedoes, deep water torpedoes, 2 torpedo tubes plus a rapid reload, which means that it can put 12 really dirty deep water torpedoes in the water at one time. Here I am, I've cut him off with my torpedoes. He's charged out of his smoke. It was a bit of a brave thing to try and drive at him, because if he'd had his head on right, he would have lined himself up in that smoke and absolutely walloped me. Now I've started the turn to try and keep my nose in towards him, which means that his main tubes go and his 2 torpedo tubes go, and I get snagged by one from the carrier. But basically, out of good old-fashioned 15 torpedoes, we managed to snag one. Right, we're turning in. We're getting our guns on target, and it's time to smash him out of the park, which we do with our final salvo, and he's gone. The carrier is having a go at me, but now bearing in mind that we're up 2 ships, my job still is destroyers, and even though our destroyer is fighting their destroyer, it doesn't look particularly even-handed because our destroyer is struggling a little bit. And why he hasn't sonar, that his sonar must be on cooldown. It's pretty unfortunate, because if he had sonar and sonar that little sucker in there, he would be absolute toast because he's not on very much health. Meanwhile, I'm getting a lot of attention from that aircraft carrier, so I fire off, now that I remember that I have it, my defensive AA, which kills a few planes but not actually that many. And it's a goodbye for the Mahan. He's rather cleverly started to speed up. I didn't quite have all my guns on him, otherwise could have potentially finished him off. There's a pretty long range shots, but I think it's just a matter of when, rather than if. Those went over, he turned, good on him. We lost the Liebrich Mast, and our Ernst Gator took him out. In the meantime, they have 2 caps, we have 1 cap, but on the ship stakes we are up 2, we are up 3 ships, so I have been pretty much instrumental in the demise of 2 of them, although only one of them actually fell to my guns. But certainly that Mahan, having the health knocked off him that early, really did put him on the defensive and drove him out of the cap. Bear in mind that our ships seem to have it under control down the south there. This carrier has been absolutely causing a pain the entire battle, and I am determined to try and make an example of him. So what I'm doing here is weaving, and I'm probably more weaving so that I can deal with his torpedo bombers. I want to keep moving towards him, and when his torpedo bombers come at me, I don't want to be turning massively away from him, which is what he's going to try and do. But if I keep this weaving motion, it means that I've got the opportunity to turn back in towards him in order to dodge his torpedoes. So it does look like I'm wasting time, and it feels like I'm wasting time, but it does have a method to its madness. and we're keeping our guns on him. He's starting to move, he's starting to reverse. I mean, if you're in a carrier and you are in this situation, the best thing to do is really actually shift positions, and shifting positions does not mean going in reverse. So in the meantime, the rest of our team has dealt with the enemy, leaving us with one Fuso. Now that Fuso has an awful lot of health, although I suspect that's probably going to change because there isn't really much else for the rest of the team to do. And as you can see, he's gone down by about half in a few seconds, so we'll be lucky to basically land shots on him as we get there. We haven't done enough damage to other ships to get a Confederate award. We've only sunk 2 ships, the Ernstgater taking down that Mahan, and I'm going to get my guns off on this guy because he's so low health, but there you go. So have to be content with the Battle Star, which, well, the Fiji's a ton of fun if you're in the mood for destroyer hunting, and if you're prepared to basically, yeah, to get at it and get amongst it. It's a great knife fighter. Love it to bits. And yeah, there you go. The Fiji, if you didn't already know, is, well, probably the best destroyer hunter at tier 7. Well, that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it because it's got the agility. There are lots of destroyer killers, but there aren't many destroyer hunters. So the Zara is a great destroyer killer. It can definitely knock down destroyers, but it can't knife fight with them. Not for chips. So that's the Fiji, and yeah, well, a lot of badges there. But that's the violence of the Fiji as well. It's a particularly gruesome ship for getting in amongst the enemy and really making a mess. And that's why I love it. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time, hopefully for